First one does this. Down. So I use it, this one I can use for breathing. I might use it with a kind of along to the track. Then I might go on to humming with it. You know, humming's about it being quite light and forward, so I might use a kind of with all of these, because they're quite tricky. All of them cover quite a wide range. And some of them are impossible to do well, depends on your voice, but some of them are bound to be troublesome. But that's the idea, so you can go as far as you're able and still have some room left to see if there's a bit more you can do. This one then I use the breath first and then with the humming, and I'll show you. When you get higher up, you have to kind of make a decision whether you're going to go to starting to get in that place, or whether you're going to narrow rather than or whether you're going to go through to falsetto, head voice. If you go through, you've got to negotiate. That can be tricky, but why not? Narrowing, you're going to get that finer, spikier sound. If you're going to use full voice at the top of your chest, then it's going to be quite a little bit clumsy. So you're aiming to kind of use all those things and maybe improve them if you can. So let me start with the breath thing here. And also with this one, you can use it for a snatch breath. I'll show you to practice taking snatch breaths. So if I'm just going to use it for breathing to start with, I might do this. Might do it again, or go to humming properly. Then I might go to an E, because an E is quite a forward placing valve. Want to practice a snatch breath? Do it like this. Try and miss only one note. Because we're getting higher now, I'm going to go to an R. On the one, I'm going to let this run and then go to an R. And show you what I might do at the top there. Actually, on this one, I'm going to narrow at the top and make it lighter. I'll show you here. If I didn't lighten, gets too much, can't do it. So I've lightened it there, narrowed it. If I don't, I go through to falsetto. Then I've got to negotiate coming in and coming out. There's ways of doing that, but we won't go into that now. You can find that for yourself. You have to anticipate and facilitate and accommodate the change. What's the next one? This one, yeah, just goes like this. No point doing any of the breathing on that, just use the first one if you want to, or do the separate breathing exercise I've got anyway. This one I just think is kind of like a little bit of a stretch. Trying to avoid a kind of see if you can just I have to work this one in a bit. So I might start with a hum just to get used to it. Here it comes. Try and balance it on the air if you can. If I go to an E,
Let me hear the word.
And try you very try and see if you can if you can balance it with the air, keeping it very even as best you can, and light. Don't think we want though you can do what you like. If you want a more operatic type thing, you can do it like that, or you can make it narrower. That's more throat, a little bit narrowed there. So I do all of them, play with them. Each time you do it slightly different style. The next one, quite quick. Remember that you can slow these down. You can get an app or a program. This media player on my phone doesn't do it, but there are several of them where you can slow it down without losing the pitch. So you might want to do that, because this one I recorded just a touch too fast, perhaps. Let's listen. Yeah. Woo. You need plenty of air, because it's and make sure that you go right to the end with it, because it feels like it's finished, but it hasn't. But then it's... Again, I might do with a hum, nice and light to start with, just to get myself worked into it, maybe do the first one with a hum, and then I would do all of these on different vowels. For when you go for the hum, you might want to go to the E next, because it's closer to the hum. The tongue position means that it's quite far forward, but then you do it on E, or U, all of them, or whatever you feel, actually. Yeah, so if I go back one, here it is. Keep it light and trippy, this one. I have a feeling of this about it myself. My feeling there is that like there's a cushion of air underneath. That's there underneath it. So I don't go for the You could do it a bit more except I didn't breathe. Go to the E. Don't get tied up. Now, as it gets higher, it's going to be difficult, because you're starting to go there. I would say on this one, you can practice that. Practice all of it, but that's going to be tough. So, and going through into falsetto is going to be tough. This one's just tough, really. It's the end of it. Going through into falsetto. Well, you can improve it, but I wouldn't expect too much if I were you. I'd just do it anyway, and it sounds rubbish, but you can improve the rubbish so it's not quite so rubbish. Or you could slow it down. But that's what this one's about. See if you can just get that thing going, get it as good as you possibly can, and don't feel too bad if it doesn't sound good at all. Oh, one of my favourite compositions. It's got a 3/4 bar in there as well, just for good measure. So this one's doing this. So, my advice here is to see if you can avoid changing the mechanism too much. So you've got that and you're doing Wow, you're miles away. So what I like to say, each note, particularly as it gets lower, is like miles away, a completely different place from the top, the first note. So what I like to think of is this. Yes. I think of my top note, and I think of my top note all the way through. That's my attitude. But I'm aware that the other notes are dropping, because I'm doing them, but I'm thinking top note. Where are we? If I'm up there, light as well, though you can do it, experiment with all sorts of tonalities, but I think it's going to be easiest to start with if it's light, so I'm keeping a kind of ah. So when I get to the bottom note, the octave below, I'm not in a completely different place. If I do this, everything's changed. So I'm in that kind of a zone. But what about if I drop to the bottom note like this? Don't know if you can hear, there's a similar sort of quality about it. So the mechanism hasn't changed that much. So hopefully I can keep some sort of consistency. When I get higher and have to go through the falsetto, heaven help us. I might do the hum to start with again, just to work things. Very loose and free if you can. So I'm thinking of that one. If I change to an start to get high. I can stay in chest. So for me, it's getting a little bit stressful there to stay in chest. Though I could practice that. That's what he's all about. Or I might go to falsetto, but now I've got the issue of the accommodation. So I'm going to have to accommodate as best I can, innit? And here. A little bit flat on those top notes, so I'm going to give it. I can slow it to give myself a bit more time. See what I'm doing? I'm dragging behind the beat to give myself a little bit more time to see if I can sort that out. Something about these which I'm going to mention twice. I'm going to mention it here and I'm going to mention it again later on if I remember. I don't remember things so well these days. What was I doing? Only kidding. Is a clown. Circus. I remember seeing on television clowns on a circus. They had spinning plates. They had their bamboo pole or something, bamboo type thing, and they got some plates spinning on top, and they got several plates spinning on top on 7 bamboo poles all around themselves, and they'd all be there. And obviously, as the momentum decreased, the plates would start to wobble, and they were around the risk of falling off. And so part of the game with all the fun of all this was for the children to be going, that one there, that one there. And the clown would be doing what? And that one there was about to fall off. And he'd turn around and, of course, when he was doing that one, this one's starting to fall off. And they never fell off from what I could see. They always caught them, just you think he's never going to get that one in time. But he would, and he'd keep all these various plates spinning. So what I'm meaning about that is these exercises are a bit like that. You may never do them well, but you will do them better. And if you stop, I'm familiar with them now, just come back to them, and they're not so good, they're rusty. The plate's about to fall off. So I come round, like all of your singing practice is a bit like that. So I come round and you work on this, and once you're busy working on this, that one over there is starting to deteriorate. So you have to kind of decide what you want to work on and go around and try to keep everything a bit like an athlete, I suppose, in reasonable condition. What have we got next? Okay, kind of the opposite of the one we got there, but a little bit quicker. Don't know why I did this one a little bit quicker. Why not? So it goes like this. So what would I say about that? So the other one was we were trying to keep that, a little bit of that there. What about this one? It's kind of the reverse, really. Again, trying to keep them all consistent, so the bottom one then I keep fairly light. I think you're better off keeping the bottom one light than, remember it was the other way around, we started at the top. We kept the top one light and brought that lightness down to the bottom one if we can. So this is a reverse of that, I'm keeping everything light, but if you hear the bottom one heavy, you could practice that. You could if you want that kind of energized big thing, or you could try, I think to give this the best chance, I keep it light. Try to keep them in tune. Again, maybe with a hum to work it in.
Breathe properly.
Yeah, get the air balance worked in there. Keep the air flowing through. You can try it on any hand. Didn't breathe enough. I was thinking of something. What I was thinking of is letting it through. I noticed on this one. So it uses a fair bit of again, as it gets higher, decisions have to be made. I'm going to go through the falsetto. So, this one does get better, but for me, my voice, almost impossible. Well, to do nicely. But if you really wanted to, you could stop, like as I've done here, and work that in, and it will get better. I found even there, it's got a little bit better. Question of how much you want to do and how useful it is. Something else about these. Sometimes I do them rough and ready. Rough and ready. So I just do them. They're long, they take a lot of breath, they work all this. I allow it to be a bit clumsy and, unless I really want to work on it. And at the end of it, when I've done all of them, I feel that everything's been used. You've used all the muscles at least. And then you can maybe go back and work on something. Say you've got a song which has got those jumps in it. You might stick on this one and do it several times. Or other ones you might want to do that several times and just work on those. Or sometimes, as I say, I just put it on because I don't know what to practice, or I've done something, I just think, what should I do a bit different? I'm going to go through all of these. At least I've had a workout. So you have to kind of be a bit intelligent with these and use them to your own advantage. Oh dear. Well, this one's meant to have a slur in it, which I didn't have the keyboard or the facility to slur, so I had to do step notes. So it's this, isn't it? For some reason, this is a semitone lower. There we go. So rather than being a step, what we're hoping to do is this, but you can do the step if you like, is to slur between those notes on the way down. So you slur down and stop off down to the lower octave. I'll hum it. Still going. I think of a violin or a cello. Put it to an E.
In touch.
Going to be an issue when I have to go to falsetto because you know. On the slur, I feel I have to let go. It's going to start a downpour, but I've got my brolly, so it's all right. Going down. Try and land softly, you know. But take time because we want that slur. It's a little bit tricky. You have to feed, almost as this note's going down, I'm feeding the air through, which of course I am, otherwise the voice wouldn't work. But there's a little bit of a sense of that. So I kind of catch each note so it doesn't crash. Going through falsetto, what's going to happen? Nothing good, I can tell you.
More air as we get higher.
That's all right, I'm going to deliberately go to falsetto, I don't have to go. One more, then I'll explain something. Now, falsetto coming out of it. If you don't anticipate and facilitate and accommodate, you're going to crash. It just drops. Here's my understanding of it from personal experience. Not necessarily physiologically, but what does that matter in a sense? Because it's what it feels like is how you operate. So, if you don't anticipate and facilitate, it crashes down. I'm going to say this is why, because the bottom of your falsetto needs hardly any air, yes? I'm going to do the same note there in chest. You might not be able to see, but you can kind of sense that there's more energy in that. Where are we? If I do it higher. That's more in my falsetto range, it's more comfortable. Do that in chest. I'm not going to be able to do it in E, I'm going to go to an R. So, if I don't give it that, I simply can't get it. So can you imagine then that what I'm doing is coming out of a low pressure zone in falsetto into the high pressure zone in chest. I have to have that, otherwise I don't get it. If I don't do that, facilitate that, then what happens is the note drops to the equivalent pressure zone in chest. I hope that's making sense. So then we get a drop. So a lot of guys get because it drops to an equivalent pressure. So if you don't catch it by increasing the air pressure, you're going to get that drop. What that feels like is this. Now that means I need to acquaint myself with a light high chest. Rather than if I try to go to that for falsetto, I'm in trouble. So I'm going to go here's falsetto. Can you hear they're not so far away? That's chest. Some people call that head, I think. I don't know, it all gets a bit confusing. I call falsetto or head the same. I call that light chest. high up, light high chest if you like, as opposed to full voice high chest. Ha! Light. Ha! Only just make it. Ha! Because I'm going to go down a semitone. So ha! There. Okay, so that's light high chest. Ha! It's quite tricky. It's quite close to falsetto. I sometimes say it's like this. I'm right up against falsetto, but if I control it, I don't flip over. I can stay there. Ah, falsetto. Ah, chest. Ah, falsetto. Ah, ah. Takes quite a bit of work. You won't be able to tell. You have to try it for yourself. But it requires quite a bit of work and control. You overblow and you've had it. So I'm coming out then. Ah, and I catch it into a chest voice in that light phase there on this one. That's what's going on there. This one and all these exercises, there's another batch of them the same but without the guide melody going through. The guide melody is at the very beginning, so you know which one it is and it reminds you, and then the guide melody disappears. And the reason for that is that sometimes you get used to, it's like when you're learning a song from somebody who's singing it, you think you know it, but what you're actually doing is you're getting very quick at hearing them sing it and copying. So when they're not there, like you go and do it with the band, all of a sudden you don't know it as well as you thought you did, because you've been singing along with somebody there, and you don't know that you're delaying slightly in hearing. Same with this, it helps you out. So when you're familiar with, when you've learnt the melodies, and the ones that come later have got a bit more of a to learn in them, they're not just the basic scale. These up to now are quite simple. There are a few little tricky bits you have to learn, and that gets in the way of you doing them until you've learnt them. But then once you've learnt them, you can try the exercise without the melody. And this is one where you need to, because I think I'm all right, and then when I get rid of the melody, I find I'm not quite doing semitones. So again, we might do it with humming. So I'm going to try and be accurate with this. So I'm going. There's a tendency to overstep because we're so used to the major scale, which starts with a tone. Take it to E. I keep it quite light and fine there. Try it with the exercise without the melody to make sure you're there. Oh, have mercy. Maybe this one, you might want to put in an app which slows it down a bit. It's perhaps a little on the fast side, I don't know. That is what we're after, is defining the major to the minor. So make sure you do it, because some of the students just sing major both times. They just go. That's not the idea. That's not the idea at all. This is the idea. What I do with myself, so I'm rusty on these, some of them, like the spinning plates, I've got to come back round and check them out, keep everything lubricated. So I emphasise the third to start with, because I find I'm missing it, the minor third. So I might go. Sometimes I delay it because it's a little bit fast, perhaps, to give myself a little bit more time. So I shift the timing back a bit to give me more time to land on that minor third. Oh. Can you hear what I'm doing? If I need you. Watch out. Missed it that time. Same time. Breathe properly. And can you hear what I'm doing? Choking. Making sure. starting to come in. E, up to the fourth. E, I'll get complacent. E, up to semitone again. E, and on it goes. The next one is a reverse, which I find harder. Major first. Minor first, I beg your pardon. Why do I find that harder? I've got no idea. Oh well, so there we go. Much the same, but the other way round. So you may as well keep a little bit of flexibility in what you're doing. Here it comes. See if I can manage it. Yeah, minor first. Watch that. There we go. I almost tend to smile on the major. Lost it there. 5/4. Missed it there. So I would slow this. As you can hear, I'm dragging back. Give myself some space for it. Minor. So it's coming, yeah. So it's coming again. I'm going to mention the spinning plates again. I know I mentioned them before, but if you're listening to this in batches, I'm not sure I'm going to do this. I'm probably going to cut them up because there's a lot to go through in one go, but I'll leave it there in one go as well. So again, when I'm talking about these clowns in the theatre, not the theatre, what do you call it, in the circus, and they had this thing with the bamboo sticks and the plates, and they're spinning and spinning and spinning the plate, and then people go, oh, there's a plate's about to drop off the back. So that's my analogy for keeping various parts of your voice in check. It's impossible to do it all because you spend all day, every day doing it. So you have to prioritise for the kind of singing you do and the stuff you're doing. And a lot of these exercises are probably more for jazz or technical singers. So, but every now and then, come back through the lot. Some of the plates will have fallen on the floor. Hopefully not smashed. Maybe get your super glue out and glue them back together and then put them back on the stick and get them spinning again. That's just life, it seems to me, with this exercises and practicing. You're going to have to let some of them go sometimes. You can't spend your... And you don't want to be fantastic at doing exercise and no good as a singer. You've got to make sure that it works towards what you're actually doing. What have we got next? Oh! Yeah! Tritone on the flat 5 or the devil's interval. It's just unusual and unfamiliar. Well, it's just unfamiliar, that's all really. So people struggle with it sometimes. You don't hear it a lot in music, they do in some. I can't think for a minute what, but there are quite a few that have got it. So you might have a session or something, and you're finding that hitting that flat 5 because it's just unfamiliar. So this is just a little blues that goes round, emphasising, make sure you get it, make sure you don't sing the 5th. A lot of neophyte students, them tend to sing the 5th, but we want the flattened 5th, or the tritone. Here it comes. Again, keep it quite light, try not to struggle with it. Make sure it's not but the flattened 5th. Lordy. Has it got anything unusual? We'll find out, won't we? It's a bit sort of right. Be careful to get it right. Hear before you sing. 5. So we turn up at the end, one more time. Keep the air flowing through, because I didn't. Up to the 4th. Back to the 1. 5, 4, 1 up a semitone.
Keep on
that's an issue. Again, let me go to falsetto. Oh yeah, I quite like this actually. Oh yeah. How you could do something, or even use this as a backing track if you want to do something. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Here we go. What are we on now? So yeah, going into falsetto again. I can tell I'm rusty. I make no apologies. Who am I to apologize to? But it's a consequence. Next. Oh, yes. This one fits over an augmented chord. Whole tone scale. Now, imagine an alien. Alien come from wherever they come from. And you'll explain to them a bit about music and scales, have a good chat. And they say, and you say, well, most of the music you're going to hear is going to be based on the major scale. And you explain to them what the major scale is. So when you take these frequencies, blah, 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 you have a note, you move a tone, and then you move a tone, and then you move a semitone, and then you move a tone, and then you move a tone, and then you move a tone, and you move a semitone. And the alien said, well, explain again. You hit a note, then move a tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 tone. So then you might say, well, what other scales have you got? So we've got this one called a whole tone scale. And you say to the alien, well, this one you go tone, 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 tone. How many? I don't know. You just move a tone. Which one do you think the alien's going to find easier? It's impossible to say, isn't it? But I would have thought moving a tone is easier than having to remember tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. But we're familiar with the major scale. So again, I think it's familiarities. But what I'm trying to say by mentioning this is that it's not inherently difficult, it's just familiarity. So why not familiarise yourself with everything? Time given. So this one's not so bad, is it? Now, it's a blues, and it's long. So you've got to breathe, you've got to sing through it, and it goes high, of course, so you're going to have to go over your passaggio. That's all. We know all that from the others before. Let's have a look. I find this one quite floaty because of that 6/8 thing, I suppose. To the fourth, because of blues. Back down to 1. Here's a long as it comes. 5, 4, 1 is long. Here you go. Already getting a little bit higher. Let me put it to an E. E. I keep it white line, I keep it light. E. 4. E. Getting on there, isn't it? E. Probably going to stay in chest and narrow. That one at the top, never mind. This time I'm going to go falsetto. A little bit clumsy, I do apologise. Back to 1. 5, 4, 1, long, falsetto.
Remember the words of Catalina. What you could do sometimes, I guess, with these, you could do your. One of the best friends. Woo! That one takes some breath. You know what? I'm quite fit, I think, physically. Well, you expect it, teaching a lot and doing all of this and singing. But already I'm feeling a little bit kind of. Oh, I beg your pardon. So that's what I use this for sometimes. It's because it just gives a really good workout, whether you do them very well or not. it doesn't give. Don't hurt yourself, struggling and shouting and screaming. But whether you're doing well or not, you feel, I've done something. What's next? Now, we're going to invite our alien back. And we say to our alien, we've got another scale, fits over diminished. I don't know if I can remember how diminished is, but it's certainly not that, is it? And the alien will say, okay, what's this one then? You say, well, you hit a note, then you move a semitone, then you move a tone, then you move a semitone, then you move a tone, then you move a semitone, then you move a tone, then you move a semitone, and I can't remember where we are. But you just keep alternating. Or, there's another one where you start off where you hit a note, you move a tone, and then a semitone, and then a tone, and then a semitone, and a tone. So I think some people call it a 9-note scale, some people call it a diminished scale. I'm not sure if both of them are called that. But anyway, this one is the one that moves a semitone, and it sounds like this. Not like that, it doesn't. It sounds like this. Now, I haven't done this again for a while, and I've sort of forgotten the sound of it. After you do it for a while, you just remember the sound of it, like you remember the sound of the major scale. But again, it's familiarity. So, this has got a couple of little tricky twists and turns, I think, to try and make it fit into the blues in a kind of musical, though slightly odd musical way. So again, it's one you might need to, or a whole thing you're probably going to have to need to learn, because if you're totally unfamiliar with it, you think, what the hell's going on here? But after a while you get used to it, and you get used to those couple of little semitone things. I think there's something that goes on, and you get used to that as well. And then once you've got used to it, you can practice it, and then you can do it without the melody on the later tracks, and see how sharp you are. And there's always the possibility of slowing down, which we've got these days. When I did that year 2000, I think, it wasn't so easy to do that kind of thing. But now, everything is available unto you. Make use. Musical theatre next door. I'm not saying anything. Here we go. One again. No, 4. So a little bit different there, yes. Long phrase, 5, 4, 1, with this little change coming up. Here it goes. Little chromatic bit at the end. Here comes the E. Up, 4 now. So yeah, you need to breathe on that, or take a snatch breath in between to top up. Certainly if you slow it down, you might need to. Well, that's me, that's that exhausted, and me exhausted pretty much. So I hope you'll be able to use it and find ways of making it useful for yourself, challenging, and actually hopefully a little bit of fun and a little bit rewarding. It does several things. It's obviously for agility, and it's for this as well, with those intervals which are only familiarity, and it's only really familiarity with muscles and stuff that are not perhaps so used to doing that. And as I say before, I doubt anybody would do all of them well. That was the whole idea, to push beyond well so that everybody has room to be challenged and beyond. So that's the idea of it. So don't feel away if yours sounds a bit rubbish, like mine. Be seeing you.